Hey, Frank.
Hey, Patsy, how you doing?
Oh, Champions League, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. Just to let you know. Um, oh wait. Where is it?
Mhm. The Bayern.
The Bayern. Right here we go.
About the only
Okay. Wait. I'm not done yet. Wait. Okay.
2020, nice. Yeah.
Okay. Straight from Steve from uh the Allianz Arena.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
I'd love to go. I've been to Munich before, but I've never been to Allianz Arena yet.
Yeah, I can't say I brought it home as much as it was said to me, but uh I'm very proud.
Yeah.
It was a very nice gesture from somebody who is a very nice person. So
Well, you deserve it, and I'm glad that they sent it to you. That's a cool glass.
it was very nice of them. Uh, I know we're probably a little early, and it's probably just going to be you and me. So, did you happen to watch any of Champions League at all today?
I didn't. I really had to do a lot of work today, and I went and visited my parents. I was checking on score updates throughout the day. I saw Atalanta took care of business. Um, but yeah, Bayern beating Atletico the way they did, that should serve notice on everybody. That's serious.
I was Nick's working, and I had texted him a few times, and I told him I was like, dude, it's don't even pay attention to the score, just like get on Twitter or uh Insta or wherever you follow Champions League, and just pay attention to what folks are saying because they just dismantled a really good, strong defensive side in Atleti. I mean, you and I both follow La Liga. We know how strong they are defensively and how hard it is to score against them.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I mean, it was. Whenever you said it served, they served notice. That's a really good way to put it. It was scary how good
Yeah,
this side is.
they really are scary. And, you try to see. I mean, it's really going to take, honestly, it's going to take them being on an off day and somebody else playing near their best. That combination of things has to happen. Um, that's the way I see it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the best game where I saw them playing at their top, the best game I've seen anybody give them was that final kind of like combination Champions Europa League game against the Spanish side. Who was that again?
Sevilla.
Sevilla.
Yeah,
That's the best game I've seen anybody give them. And, they had their chances and they played a great game, even better than I thought PSG did in the UEFA final.
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Uh, Frightening good side, and even losing Tiago, I was a little nervous. Uh they just got better. I mean, it's scary how good that side is right now.
It really is. And, they added speed in adding Leroy Sané out there. Not that they need it anymore, but it just adds to that whole thing that we talked about before that they're too deep everywhere.
Yeah,
They really are.
and Nick texted back to me. He said that side is a machine. It's that simple. They're a machine, and it was frightening to see. A couple other scores that might have grabbed somebody's attention. Frank, Liverpool beat Ajax 1-0 at Ajax, so that was pretty big. Even though it was 3 points is 3 points, right? Um, my heart broke. Well, it didn't break, but Inter and Mönchengladbach tied 2-2.
Yeah.
So Inter came back and got the tying goal, and you and I were going back and forth. We'll talk about that in a second. Shakhtar held on against the Real Madrid 3-2. All right, they were 3-0 at halftime.
Yeah, they got a good VAR decision to uphold that victory at the end.
Yeah, they did. Olympiacos 1-0 over Marseille, which is going to surprise the hell out of Nick. And you had mentioned Atalanta looking like Atalanta against I don't even know who the hell they were playing.
Midland.
I'm sorry. I don't have my glasses on. I apologize. you know things are the way they're supposed to be, at least in one match. Whenever Atalanta's scoring,
Yeah.
right? A 5-4 win in a Atalanta game is not really out of the question. But boy, it was nice to see that they started scoring again. I'm glad they did it after they played your side, though.
Yeah, I'm agreeing. Because they're capable any given match of just pouring it on somebody. So it was nice to see Napoli shut them down, and but it's nice to see them back because I do have a soft spot for Atalanta, and ever since we started kind of picking them last season, not this season, but last season, they were kind of our fun to watch dark horse team, and they did what we thought they'd do last year. I mean, they got to the quarters in the UEFA. They challenged a little bit for the Serie A side. For the Scudetto. I mean, they fell a little short. Of course, they were probably third. I think they were third place, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, they weren't that far off. And this year, I'm thinking honestly, they'll make some noise in UEFA. This is just personal opinion. I think they'll make noise in UEFA because they have the experience from last year. But I look for them to still kind of look for them to slide back just a little bit in Serie A. But that could be wrong. I just have a feeling like this long campaign this year might take its toll on them in Serie A.
It might. But boy, right now, I mean, if you're going to put money on anybody in Serie A, how you're not putting it on AC Milan, I don't know.
Boy, they look good.
Oh boy. It's like the weather, right? Especially Western PA weather, it can change in a minute. But right now, boy, it'd be silly to not put a couple of dollars on AC Milan winning the whole thing.
And like you said, how fast things change, because I think 2 seasons ago or just before last season, we were sitting talking about how we really wanted to see a return of AC Milan because it's good for Serie A, it's good for the rivalry between them and Inter Milan, and they really looked kind of pathetic after they, fired Gattuso, and Gattuso didn't do it for them over the last season he had them, and they were looking like they were in the dregs, and then
they did.
Bam. All of a sudden they're back.
Unbelievable. And I mean, obviously, Frank, every time you and I get together, we start talking about football. Notice how I said football, right?
Yeah.
We're obviously going to have a very strong Serie A slant to our conversation. And I'm not making excuses. I'm just letting people know how it is, right? Yeah. We're both even if we don't consider it the best league in the world, we both Serie A holds a special place in both of our hearts. That is definitely for sure. I texted you I don't know what, maybe an hour ago.
Yeah, it was about that. Yep.
About how Inter seems to, it's almost like they're a half a step behind everybody else, right? It just, and I probably didn't do a very good job on the text because I was kind of frustrated at the time, to be honest. But I look at how they play, and I look at how they just don't seem to have that next gear. And it kind of bothers me because whenever Conte was managing Chelsea, they seemed to be able to kick it up. And if this was, I guess my point is, if this was Conte's Chelsea side, they end up winning this game 3-2.
Yeah.
Let
me ask you this, because I didn't watch the game and you did. And you've been watching Inter a lot when you can. Is it a tactical thing, or is it is it a mix of the team players? Is it the energy on the field? What do you see what are you seeing there?
Yeah, that's the frustrating part, because if you look at the names on that side, right? I mean, if you follow soccer, if you follow Serie A for a hot minute, these names keep popping up, where you keep seeing these same names over again. And maybe they're not as big as Ibras, but everybody knows Lukaku, right? Everybody knows Lautaro. Everybody knows these guys. There's just something that just isn't quite clicking with this side, and it's been this way now for going on Conte's second season. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to put a finger on it. You can't say, well, they're just not attacking, or they're playing too defensively, or something like that, where it's tactical, right? It's just something just isn't quite there, and it's very very frustrating to watch this side. You know, I mean, you got to decide like AC Milan, where they're either going to kick the shit out of somebody or they're going to get killed, right?
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, okay, but this inner side's really hard to watch.
It's got to be frustrating because, as you said, you know, with the full expectation that we had coming into this season, they have the stars that they need. They have the people in positions that they need. And, you know, we looked at all the people they were accumulating. They got, you know, they went out and got some fullbacks that maybe aren't the fastest fullbacks in the world, but they've got a lot of experience. They know how to play the position. And it seems like they've put a mix of players together that I would think they would be able to pull these kind of games out with that, you know, with that mix. So it is puzzling. It's like I said back to you, the word I used was strange. I just don't get it.
Yeah, it's just it's really hard to put a finger on them. You know, it's October though. You know, maybe come November, December they get this shit straightened out. I mean, I don't know, but right now, at this very moment, very difficult to. It's very frustrating to be an Inter supporter.
It's hard. You can say, like, you know, when we talked about, so we both have no real rooting interest in Lazio, other than I picked them as a surprise this year, and of course, I want my prediction to be true. But we have no rooting interest in them, and we were sitting there texting over the weekend, and I'm like, "What's wrong with Lazio?" And you said it's early, which is true. It really is early. But when it's your favorite team and you watch them struggle, that comment doesn't seem to apply. But it really has to be taken into account. It is early.
It really is. It really is. You know, one of the and honestly, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse. I honest to God, I don't know. Is the fact that as a supporter and you're looking at October and you have the I guess you have the luxury of being able to panic, right? Because you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh my God, my side's just not playing well, and we're dropping points here and there, and you know I picked Inter to win the whole thing, right? The top four, I was sandwiched in Milan, right? I picked Inter first and AC Milan fourth, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, well, looks like I had that backwards, you know. But I guess that's the like I said, the luxury you have of being a supporter is that you can express that, and you can have that anxiety.
That's right. You know, it is where we live and breathe those things, and yeah, I mean, I still fully expect them to be challenging. I don't think it's going to be a problem. It's not like a runaway year. You know, to me, I don't see any team that's going to run away and hide in that.
I don't either.
Yeah.
But it's still, I mean, you get, it's emotional, right? Because you get all excited about it. Right? You get all excited for your side, and you get all excited for the weekend. And hey, who do we have this weekend? And you know what's going on. And you know, you start planning out your own strategy. It's like you have no, you know, there's no way anybody's going to do what. Let's face it. I told Nick last night to make my point. I was like, dude, no one in their right mind would have looked at that Manchester United side and put that starting 11 out on the pitch.
Yeah.
Right. It's like nobody would have done that ever. And he was like, "Oh yeah, I would have." I'm like, "No, dude, no, you wouldn't have. No, don't give me that shit. No, you would not have done that. No one would have done that." You know, but
do you think it's going to help? Do you think it's going to help Maguire regain his confidence? I mean, given that he got a goal, he played pretty well. I mean, like he played above average to good, even on the defensive side, against some quick players like we talked about. Callum, could put the ball in the net, and St. Maximin was having a game. Do you think that weekend game gave him some confidence moving into these next few games? I mean, they did beat PSG, but I mean, like they've got a tough road ahead, right?
They got Chelsea this weekend, right?
Yeah.
I hope so, because, and I've been on him. I've been on him hard. I mean, even in FIFA, first thing I did whenever I started managing Manchester United. I made sure to wait until after the trade deadline. I waited for the update.
Right.
And the first two guys I got rid of was Maguire and Pogba. Right? But look, he in all honesty, if I'm going to be 100% completely honest, he's a far better player than he showed in the last, those last few games where it was obvious that it hit his confidence. So, yeah, I think it may be a catalyst for him, and the only reason I say that is because whenever he wears the captain's band, right?
Mm-hmm.
And normally, whenever you start facing that adversity that he's facing as a player, one of two things happens. You either want to get back on the pitch and work your way through it, or you want to get off the pitch and just wait till it passes and then get back on. And it was very obvious that this guy wants to play, right? And whenever you saw that he actually wants to get in there and play, whether I think he's a great player or not showed me a lot, and makes me want to support him, because it's like, okay, this guy's at least a fighter. He wants to go and play, and he wants to do these things. So when you have that kind of attitude, I think it's a positive, and I think he could build off of that goal.
Absolutely. That's the thing that can translate to even Lou's level of, as he says, he doesn't really follow.
Is it soccer night?
Yeah. But here's the thing, Lou. We're talking about a player who was injured and was coming off of a string of maybe some bad performances. He's a defensive player. You can relate to just playing defense on a team sport, and then maybe being the guy who kind of let your teammates down, and then everybody's looking at you like, you're the reason why the other team's scoring on us. And then you get injured and you come out the next game and say, I'm not going to let this injury stop me. I'm coming out to play, and you have a good performance. Just from a gut check thing and just from a heart standpoint, that kind of thing can lead to confidence in that player and also the team around you. And that's what we're talking about with this one player is he played hurt last weekend and had a decent performance. He actually scored a goal as a defensive player and had a decent performance defensively as well. And we're just kind of examining, do we think that was a catalyst to get him jump started?
It's more of a psych thing. Remember Rick Tocchet, the game that I honestly wanted to say I think they were actually playing against Philly whenever he broke his jaw.
Yeah, it was against the Flyers.
Right, and he ends up missing one shift, goes back out and has a great game. Everybody forgets that up until he broke his jaw, he was playing like he was fucking crippled.
Yeah.
Right? But something happened whenever that injury happened, and something inside of him just kind of took over, and he went out and started fighting and started playing. It became really a huge. I mean, he's like a Penguins legend now, right? And my argument is it all goes back to that one game whenever his character took over, and he was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to go play the game of my life, and I'm going to continue to do this, and it just carried over, and that's kind of what we're talking about.
It is still in second place in Pittsburgh Penguin hockey lore.
Yeah, what's first?
Think when Mario Lemieux had chemo in the morning, flew to Philly and play and score.
Yeah, that's legendary right there.
I think, and not to go off onto a tangent. I don't mean to, but you remember that game where he scored off the face-off? I mean, the referee dropped the puck and it was the right circle, and he scored right off of he just shot right off. I was there for that game.
Oh,
Lisa
wow.
and I were there. Yeah, we had season tickets at the time. We were there for that game.
Were you there for the scoring 5 ways game?
No. Lisa might have been. She was going to games well before.
I have loved to see that.
But yeah. We were there for that game. It was like our entire section, because we were in the balcony, the first frog balcony, about halfway up, right above them. Right, we're on the side, right above that where that happened, and everybody in our section were looking at each other like, did he just score off of that? And then whenever they kind of like showed the replay on the jumbotron, we just erupted. It was like, this is the greatest thing we've ever seen in our lives. It was amazing.
He did so many amazing things, and just hometown hero, so to speak. I mean, it's not his hometown, but it's his adopted hometown, to save the franchise and keep him in Pittsburgh. I mean, great story.
But it goes back to that character,
Yeah.
And that, Lou, and I think that was the point that Frank and I were making. It was like, look, your character is either going to be, I'm going to get back out there and I'm going to fight through this, and I'm going to try to contribute, or I'm just going to tell the coach to put somebody else in. Until, it's going to be one or the other. And this one player for United, where this whole thing started, whenever he came in, is kind of showing where I'm going to fight through this, and I'm going to make a difference one way or another. And you gotta admire the player's character.
Yeah, it means a lot. You don't know whether you're running on adrenaline or something kicks.
One or the other. It's to me, it's a character thing. And speaking of characters, boy, we're gonna have 2 tomorrow night, aren't we?
The crazy will be out again. It's gonna be crazy. Oh man.
I mean, we're going to have our preview for tomorrow night. Obviously, we're going to, but I wanted to touch on it a little bit tonight. And my question to both of you, and Lou, since you came in last, I'll ask you first. Do you even want to see another debate?
You know what? I think I said this last night. No, I don't want to see one, but I want to see Trump self-destruct. I think it's going to help Biden, if only in Pennsylvania, because I don't know. Did one of you post this today about Trump bringing up probably Hunter Biden and crack whores on the computer or something, and child pornography? I mean, to me, that would be so outrageous, and I could see him bringing something stupid up like that. And maybe at that point, his mic gets muted and he walks off. Hopefully, if he walks off, he'll lose 5 points in Pennsylvania. Because I was just coming across the TV, and the Quinnipiac, who we know who they are, has Biden up 10 in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the polls here in a minute. Frank, this idea of well, let me ask you. I'll ask you the same thing I asked Lou, and then we'll go along with that. Do you even want to see another debate?
Yeah, my mind's changed on this. A couple weeks ago, I didn't want to see any more debates. Probably as soon as like last week, as recent as last week, I probably wouldn't want to see another debate. But the level of, and I'm sad to say I want to see the train wreck, but that's basically what it is. The level of crazy that's coming out of Trump makes me want to see him do this on live TV, because he's clearly unhinged. And I agree with Lou that we talked about it yesterday. Is there anybody sitting at home saying I might change my vote? That's the one thing that could change people's votes. They might just get so sick of seeing the crazy there that they say, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. They might stay home, or they might change their vote, right? So that could be the thing.
We're going to have muted mics for at least the 2-minute initial response. I still have not seen anything that we had talked last night. I still have not seen anything that says either way if those mics are going to be muted during rebuttals, which I think is going to be a huge mistake if they don't do that. But that being said, obviously Lou has a bad connection. That being said, I really don't want to see another debate. I mean, obviously we'll watch it. We'll talk about it tomorrow night. We'll watch it Thursday night, and obviously we're going to talk about it during Friday's show. But it almost seems like a waste of time at this point, where you're just watching it almost for the spectacle, almost for the entertainment value, not necessarily for the information value, right, or for the character value, just simply for entertainment.
Absolutely.
Is that really why you want to see a debate, though? I mean, I understand I'm being idealistic. I get that, but
no, it shouldn't be, though. You're right, and I'm actually sad to say that I'm falling into that category, because I wouldn't have thought I would have. But after 4 years of having this guy, dog whistle everybody, to see him come unhinged and see him fall apart, I'm really that's what I'd love to see.
We had talked about last night, and we touched on it, and Lou brought it up. Well, he introduced it, I should say. He didn't bring it up. He introduced it. It was breaking news at the time. how Trump walked out of the 60 Minutes interview, right? And how he posted that he's going to he's thinking about. I love this because the fucker can't think to save his life, right? But he's thinking about putting it out early.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you two questions, Frank. One that's right up your alley. The other one is more of a your view on things. Number one, how the hell can he put it out early? That's property of CBS. He doesn't have access to that,
Right.
as far as I know. So you can correct me or just comment on that. And number two, it does not him putting that out early, knowing that you're still going to have segments with Pence and Biden and Kamala Harris, make you not want to watch that more?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one of those things that he's basically he's a promoter and he's a showman, and it just seems like he's doing that potentially to drive ratings around it, and maybe in a weird way in his mind he's thinking that he can tout that as, look what I did to drive ratings for this program because my name's associated with it, and because
you think that's it?
I don't know. It's hard to really read him at this point in time because he's so weirdly off the rails with a lot of his stuff. But I gotta believe that. I look back at the coronavirus thing, and I wonder if it wasn't all scripted. If you look at how it went down, what he did following the leaving the hospital, and if he thought in his mind, because he is weird and he's misplacing a lot of thought, right? If he thought in his mind, I can sell this to the American people that I'm this Superman, that I can beat this, and I'm going to be this strong leader who's going to defeat this coronavirus. So let's pretend like I got it. Let's put on a big show, and I'll come home and wave to everybody, and they'll see me as the strongest guy in the world, and I'll regain popularity. It was like a Hollywood script in a way, and so I'm wondering if it's similar here because there was somebody that caught him, or not caught him because it was in the open, but they replayed his rally speech when he told a bunch of people at a rally before he did the 60 Minutes interview. Watch what we do with Leslie Stahl. So he was like previewing the fact that he was going to walk out of the interview. He's like, I want you all to watch what we do. We're gonna drive her nuts on this 60 Minutes interview. You watch what we do with this 60 Minutes interview. So he had it planned that he was going to do something silly like walk out. And to me, it just feels like it's all scripted. It's all like just to drive ratings. The second question, or the first question, but I'll address it second, is the legal part of it. And I think that you're probably already seeing the answer to that because he hasn't released it early. I think he just threatened to do that because he wants to set his base up for the idea that, again, I'm the victim. If I want to, I could release this stuff and show you why I'm the victim. But I'll let them show it first, and then we'll talk about it later. But I think that's him playing to his victim side and playing to his base. But I think, he couldn't do it, and that's why he hasn't done it.
Look, this guy's always playing to his base, and he's always, whenever he strays from his base, it's all about. It seems like the only thing he has, his only intention is ratings. 4 years later, do you really think that's going to have any kind of like positive impact to him at all?
You know what? He's got his 39%. And you know what? I'm watching more and more on Pennsylvania. I'm thinking there was a ton of people in them Philly suburbs that just did not come out then. Or they gave Trump a shot, and guess what? They're still in the shithole with COVID and everything else.
It's actually worse now, right?
Actually worse. And he's going to play. He has that MAGA base. I really don't think he's picked up anybody extra, in my view. I just think it's solidified the cult with everything we see living in Mayberry.
Oh my! It's gotten worse.
And I really think he lost. Don't forget, he had 51% white woman vote.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't getting that this time.
I completely agree.
He is not. I do not believe that, and I don't think The people, the Democrats that voted for him the last time voted for Bush. They voted for the other Bush. They voted for Romney. Not all of them were Obama voters. There was a few. And the ones that were probably people that said, well, let's give the outsider a chance. And they're sorry they gave him a chance.
Frank, do you believe the story, the outsider one, or my personal view is they liked what Obama did for them. They were up on the whole thing, but they couldn't handle another minority after the black guy. So Trump made it easy for them to be racist and or sexist.
I think there was an element of that, but I think that when you look at the dynastic element of the Bush, family, and then the Clinton family, there was a feeling in the country at the time that we were starting to become very dynastic, especially at that executive level. And nobody wanted to see another, family name that's been in politics all that time. So while I think there's an element of what you said, Patsy, I do think that there was a large group of people who were not acting purely on, gender discrimination or race discrimination. There was an element of that for sure, but I don't think there was some group of people who were more like, I'm tired of these career politicians. I don't really like the Clinton family name because of what went down with him and Monica Lewinsky and whatever, that left a bad taste in people's mouths. And they felt like, Hillary she was dragged through the mud through the whole Benghazi thing. And as much as she defended herself, and I think she acquitted herself very well, it had an effect on her. And it just got in this whole thing of these career politicians, and that they seem like they're above reproach, and the common man and woman were like, no, we're not having this. So he was the outsider, but now they see that he really isn't an outsider, so to speak, and the guy they gave a shot to just wanted to enrich himself. And then there was the element of people who liked the idea of sticking it to the black folks and the women who think they're going to quote unquote start taking over this country. And this hillbilly elegy idea that, we're going to take our last shot at keeping control. The white man is going to keep control of this country. And that was the last great white hope for them, was Donald Trump.
Lou, going back to what you said about Pennsylvania. He actually told people in Erie, and we had a couple of posts, and I think you had addressed it a little bit. He tells people in Erie that the only reason he's there is because of how bad things are happening in PA.
So vote for him, and they cheered him.
Yeah, how dumb they are.
That's not a good sign. I mean, I got to be honest, and I'm not a politician by any means, and I'm kind of too blunt and too much of a garbage mouth to be a politician. But it would take a lot for me to say, look, the only reason I'm here is because my vote, there's a good chance I'm going to lose this state. So, here you go, help me out a little bit. I don't know if that's stupid, ignorant, or ballsy as shit. What do you think? Because I saw this and I couldn't believe what I read.
You know what? The people in the crowd, did they even pay attention to what he said?
I don't know if they just cheer whenever he stops talking because it's what they're cued to do, or I don't know.
Because they're not showing that clip on Fox News all day.
Probably not.
I mean, it was the first thing Joe showed this morning about 3 minutes in.
Was it really?
Well, maybe 5 minutes in, but it was like, and Casey before that showed it earlier. So
we're coming closer to this alternate timeline that my son and I laughed about this past weekend. Imagine this alternate universe and alternate timeline where Donald Trump walks out 3 days before the election and says something like he said to these people in Erie and said, haha, you suckers, I got you. I'm not running for re-election. Everything I told you was a lie, and you all fell for it, you bunch of idiots. I mean, it's almost like what he's saying here. I don't even want to be here with you morons, but I need your votes. So, here I am. But could you imagine their heads explode if he actually said, "Yeah, I'm tired of this. I'm not going to run for re-election. It was all a big lie. The hoax was on you guys, and you were so stupid that you fell for it."
Didn't he call CNN a bunch of stupid bastards or something like that?
Yes, he did. He called them stupid bastards.
So Frank, you might not be that far off.
Yeah.
you might be a lot closer to the truth than everybody else.
It would be hilarious, but I just, it's like, yeah, writing a story. Speaking of writing, it'd be a fun story to write and actually see happen.
You know what? And if he didn't throw all this other shit against the wall, did anybody catch what Melania was quoted saying or on tape with one of the books or something, one of her friends about a week ago or so?
The only thing I saw from any of his siblings was the drunken speech his stepdaughter or whatever had for the LGBTQ, which was a total fucking disaster. But go on.
Well, here's another one. Did you know she basically said "fuck Christmas"? That's for idiots. Yeah. I mean, and what's Fox News been preaching? War on Christmas. The first lady just says "fuck Christmas."
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
No wonder she put up those like death-looking Christmas trees the last 4 years or whatever.
Dude, honest to God, that was the creepiest shit I ever saw.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that looked like something out of The Shining.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
You expected to see two female, like 7-year-old twins holding hands at the end of the run, right?
Yeah. You could say, like, you can't buy good taste, but you could buy a better decorator, right? She could spend money and say, come in and help me decorate this place.
Look what she did to the Rose Garden a year later.
Yeah.
You know what? Do you think with those polls showing Pennsylvania that deep, ahead of Biden, do you think there's going to be poll watchers Trump style in Philly or some of those suburbs and creating a little action from the neighborhood people trying to intentionally start something to shut like a polling place down mid-city Philly, west side Philly?
Frank, I'll let you go first.
I wouldn't doubt it, but I think that they're so disorganized. And look, you remember those goofy goons that they had out in Portland that were trying to beat up on the retired, crippled up Navy veteran who was, remember? And he just stood there and was like, "Get the F off me." They were beating him with sticks, and he's just like, "Get the F off me." Mm-hmm. I mean, what are they going to bring in? They're going to bring in a few goons who are just, their lives are going to be at risk, man. They're going to be, they get run over and trampled. I think people are so ready for this moment that they're walking into some serious problems if they try to do that. But I agree that they might try, but I don't fear it because they're so disorganized and there's nobody on their side that has the wherewithal to really put it together.
It would really take a lot of effort and a lot of coordination that I don't think that they. Now, that being said, do I think they're going to try in the odd precinct here or there? Yeah, I think they're going to try. Yeah. But I don't think that even if you're taking 5 districts in Philly, that it's going to have any impact at all, to be honest. Numerically, it would take such an undertaking that I can't imagine them being that organized to do it. They're just, not to sound like arrogant or anything, but they're just not that bright.
And how long would it take for the word to get back to the neighborhoods and say,
"Oh my God,
there's a bunch of idiots up here," and then you've got 20, 30, 40, 100, couple hundred people coming up the street.
Yeah, about half a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Looking for a good ass whooping.
Yeah.
Well, we saw how brilliant those MAGAs are with the governors trying to kidnap them between Virginia and Michigan and Christ, what were they doing? Advertising over Facebook, looking for recruits?
Yeah. Yeah.
Meet in plain sight. I mean, Frank, how would you defend that in court? They're just idiots.
Yeah. Please throw them on the mercy of the court and say, yeah,
My
look,
client's an idiot.
they are. They're just 5 days in jail, please.
Hope that the judge connects with your frustration, right?
This is what I'm gonna try to work with, guys.
We've seen a lot about the polling, and this all kind of ties in a little bit. About the best I can do, guys. And like I said, I'm not a big fan of very one-way leaning sources of information, but Daily Coast does credited sources, so I'll take it. New CNN polls: Florida +4, PA +10. Trust me when I tell you, they're not talking about Trump. I'm pretty sure they're crediting CNN here. Yeah, they are. This, I want to say, the CNN poll, if I'm not mistaken, was, today is the 21st. I want to say from the 13th through the 20th, or the 12th through the 19th, and then they did a day to put it all together. So this is a little telling. And I want to start here, but there's another one I want to talk to you guys about afterwards. But it seems, here's the part that gets me. About 35% of likely voters have already cast their ballots, and 71 of the early voters, 71%, say they back Biden, 27 to Trump. Those who have not yet cast their ballot break for Trump, 56 to 40. That difference, that 56 to 40 difference, is not as great as 71 to 27. Obviously, we're saying again, it's only 35%. However, that kind of leads to the only difference of being 4 points in Florida. So Lou, I'm kind of leaning toward this CNN one being pretty accurate. What do you think?
Yeah, it sounds like they have it broken down, and like keeping with that, they said there was 2.8 million absentee ballots requested in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
1 million are now back in. 64% of those ballots in Pennsylvania were from Democrats.
Yep.
So, it's going to be about the same thing here, except Pennsylvania is not allowed an early count, which Florida is. So you may get your wish of Pennsylvania being a non-factor if Florida comes through for Biden.
I don't think I'm alone, even on this panel, to say that I want Pennsylvania to be a non-factor. Am I right, Frank? Am I right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if we can be a non-factor, that would be fantastic. Yeah, I mean, if Florida goes for Biden on election night, I think we become a non-factor, and that would be great. That would be fine. Absolutely.
Wouldn't mind that a bit, would you? Would you, Lou?
Not at all, because you know what? What's Florida, 29 electoral?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
It pretty much is game over.
Yeah.
Because he's probably pulled all the money out of Michigan and Wisconsin now.
I'm pretty sure he has. And if we're gonna talk for a second about Florida, we know where Bloomberg's been. He's been spending all his money in Florida.
He's a
for the
smart-
longest time, guys, I've been wondering if Bloomberg wasn't the money behind the Lincoln Project, and he very well may still could be, but it seems like he's focusing a lot of his money on Florida and forcing Trump to spend a fuck ton of money there where he shouldn't be spending. It even says so right here, right? And enabling Biden campaign to spend dollars elsewhere. Folks, if you want to read it, go ahead. It's a really, really good article. But at the end of the day, I guess my question is, Biden's biggest problem in Florida is still going to be the Latino vote. And I'm not so sure somebody with the name of Michael Bloomberg is going to help that Latino vote much. Frank?
I mean, it's where the dollars are spent. You know what I mean? It's how they're spent. I mean, he's not himself the one that's probably going to craft the message. He's putting the dollars out there, but he is a smart guy, and I think he puts the decision making in smart people's hands. I think he knows what's going on there. He knows what needs to be reached. So I like that his strategy was to focus on that. I like how he did it. He timed it very well. You look at what Trump's numbers are right now in terms of his financial coffers. I think they're reporting he's down to 63 million right now in his campaign finance. 63 million is not a whole lot. I mean, when you're looking at 2 weeks left, he's got to pay staff. He's got to pay for ads. He's got to be in 50 states. Let's say it cost you, let's just say, it cost you a couple million per state. Granted, he's not going to spend money on certain states, but just on average, you're already over the cost of what he's got left. A couple million per state is going to put him at 100 million cost, and he's at 63 million. So if you've got Bloomberg who's using this timing and saying, well, guess what, buddy? I'm going to blitz you right now. And he has been doing it to some extent already, but he's going to blitz him in Florida. He needs Florida. What's he going to do with that 63 million? It makes some tough decisions even tougher right now. I love the strategy. Love it.
I like it too, but here I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second, okay? I know whenever I advertise like this show on Facebook and other places, I can pretty much direct where the advertising is going to go. I mean, I can do it to country, city, even go down as far as a portion of a city. Obviously, that I don't get portions in, like, say, Newcastle or Pittsburgh, but I do get them in New York, Chicago, LA, like things like that, right? So he's going to spend the same amount of money advertising in Philly that he's going to get advertising in Miami. To combat that, the way Bloomberg's doing, it's going to cost Bloomberg a whole hell of a lot more money than it's going to cost Trump. So I wonder how misleading that may be. That Bloomberg's making him spend a ton of money, but he's spending that money anyhow, and he can say, "Well, I'm going to run this ad for 10 days. This ad's going to be. I'm going to focus 5 of those days in Miami. Again, I'm just making this shit up, and I'm going to spend the other 5 days targeting Erie." Either way, it costs him the same amount of money. Do you think that you think that has a significant play in this? Or do you think that, as long as I'm advertising locally, that's all I got to worry about? It's a tough one. I know. But the internet makes it evens a lot of things out.
It does even the playing field, but here's the thing: everything still costs money, and you've got to look at beyond the fact that Miami is going to be a big battleground, but you've got Broward, you've got a couple other Dade, you've got a couple counties that are very close by to the city of Miami proper, and the spending in those counties is it's hyper jurisdictional, as you're saying, and you have to spend money to hit those. You have to spend money to hit Philly. You have to spend money to hit different places. And the thing about it is relative. And I think your relativity that you're talking about is very important to your point, and it makes a lot of sense to me as you talk about it. But then you also talk about the relativity of Bloomberg's money is going to continue to grow. In other words, Bloomberg, win or lose on this campaign, has a very nice, steady chart that's going like this with his company. Okay. And he knows how to invest money, he knows how to make money, he knows to continue his growth. It's not reliant upon the presidency of the United States. Whereas Trump's money in war chest is looking at donations, and it's part of this process. Otherwise, he's got loans. He doesn't have any way of making or generating money that's going to bring in a replacement to this 63 million. So his number is finite, and Bloomberg can afford to outspend him 2, 3, 4, 10 to 1, and it's really not going to bother him. It's not going to bother him.
Lou, you got somebody who can outspend you 10 to 1. Even if it is a little more forgiving on your end, 10 to 1's tough to compete against.
And I'll tell you where else he's probably spending money is where he didn't want to too, is the villages, all them old people.
Yeah.
You know, there's an area there. You figure that's what the I don't even, where would that be out of? Orlando would be the feeds up in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's one of them, yeah. But at that point, you're micro targeting things at that point.
Well, that's what I mean. I'm thinking he has to do it, and Bloomberg's throwing 100 million in one state. What's 100 million in one state compared to, just like you said, 63 million in the entire country? 10 to 1.
Yeah.
You know what? And Bloomberg got the gift from Trump to screw him with. When you think about it, all that money from the Fed into the stock market. Hell, Bloomberg probably made $1.5 billion during that run, and he's thinking that's like me or you throwing a 50 out.
Yeah. It was a 90-day run that just astronomically increased the wealth of the wealthiest people. Yeah, I mean, I think he sees it as a long game. He sees it as something that is imperative for the future of, the wealth of his life and his family and whatever else in our country. And I got to commend him for that. I really do.
If we continue to expand this argument out, according to 538, now don't forget 538 is an aggregate, so it's the average of averages. Biden tied in Texas, +8 in PA. Now don't forget CNN said +10 in PA, so they kind of jive with each other, right? With you throw in the margin of error, +4 in Florida again, within the margin of error. So they kind of legitimize each other. +5 in Iowa, Lou. 5 in Iowa. I don't know what's bigger, that +5 in Iowa or a statistical tie in Texas. To honest to God, I don't know which one's bigger.
I think Texas is bigger because Iowa went for Obama.
All right, good point, Frank.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I was just looking at some of that stuff too. It's so historical that Texas could go. I mean, it's one time in the last 50 or plus years that or maybe longer than that Texas has voted for a Democratic candidate in the presidential election. So yeah, it's much more historical significance that Texas won. But just looking short term, that's a big swing from where we were not too long ago in Iowa.
If you just look at it here, let me get in there. Okay. Being tied at 47% in Texas is a big achievement for the Biden campaign, so it says a lot about momentum, right? But here's the part that really got my attention. Among those who will vote in person on Election Day, 62% support Trump and 32% support Biden, which means a lot of early voting, right? Among those who are voting by mail or absentee ballot, 63% say they support Biden and 31% say Trump. Here's my problem whenever you're talking about these percentages, okay? And you're you're seeing these all over the map, and I think a lot of media places and a lot of well, let's just say places that are grabbing or trying to grab your attention are kind of overhyping things, because I promise you, 25% of 100 means a whole hell of a lot more than 50% of 10. Okay? So whenever you're just telling me percentages and you're giving me an arbitrary percentage, that really isn't telling me how much of that has already been done. 32% to 62% really doesn't mean a whole lot if you're talking about 100,000 people. And whenever you're looking at 63% and 31% if you're talking about 630,000 people, right? But yet we have a false sense of equality here, because we're just given percentages. Well, percentage doesn't mean anything if I don't know what my baseline number is. That being said, and I'm not trying to poo-poo or downplay this, to me, the entire article is right here. Right? Being tied at 47% in Texas is a great achievement for the Biden campaign. I've said for how many months now, keep an eye on Texas, follow Texas, watch Texas. It's a barometer of where the country's headed. I still think that Biden still has a really good chance of winning Texas. I'm still going to hold on to that. You know, obviously my enthusiasm is starting to dwindle a little bit. Here we go with coming to the state polls here. But at the end of the day, if you were to tell me in the last 20 years that a Democrat was tied at 47% or close to tied in Texas, I'd have told you were crazy. That has to say a lot about either the positiveness of the Biden campaign or how much people are just fucking tired of Trump. Which one do you think it is, Frank? I'll start with you. Or do you think maybe it's a combination of both?
I think it's a little bit of a combination of both, but also I think it's the changing demographic in Texas, in the sense that you've got, you know, more younger voters, more minority voters, more people who are engaged. You've got people that have moved into Texas as well. I'm not just talking about, you know, immigrants. I'm talking about from California. A lot of people have moved into Texas for job opportunities. So I think there's a changing demographic there. And yes, the fed up people that are fed up with Trump is playing a part in it. It's going to change, and once it changes, it will be hard to change it back. Maybe not as long as we've gone this time with the red state, but I would say for a very, very long time, once it changes to blue, it's gonna be real hard to change it back.
Lou, people go where the jobs are.
Yeah, they go where the jobs are, and I think you know, that's why you're seeing McConnell trying to pack these courts.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. This is the last straw of the, you know, the racist white man.
Yep.
It is what it is. They're grasping for that last, trying to extend it, you know.
I'm going to share a tweet with you. This was 10 minutes ago from Nate Silver, who's retweeted a Fox News poll. In Michigan, Biden's up 12. Ohio, it's a statistical tie. Pennsylvania, Biden gets the slight edge because of the 3 or 4 point margin of error. Wisconsin, same thing. You can't even. This is kind of tough to imagine that all three of these. Let's start here: Ohio, PA, and Wisconsin all break Trump.
Remember, it's
if you're the incumbent, that's a little scary. Would you agree?
Yeah, and remember, it's a Fox News poll too.
Right. Right. So if your corner is telling you, dude, the fight's not going your way, you got to be a little nervous, right?
Yeah, I would think that's why he made that dumbass statement in Erie.
Yeah.
I don't really want to be here. I wonder if he's going to be in Ohio here quickly.
You think after this he's gonna change his plans? I know I would. I think it's safe to say Michigan's a lost cause.
Seems
Michigan's
that way.
lost.
Right? Seems to be that Michigan is a lost cause. If Fox is telling you you're down 12 in Michigan, you're probably down more like 15 or 16.
And Wisconsin's really close behind that too, because I think you're looking at probably something closer to 51 or 52 to 43 or 44 as opposed to 49, 44. So I'm thinking Wisconsin's very close behind that. So yeah, you got to hold on to something when you can, and that's Ohio.
Would it surprise either of you if Ohio goes Trump?
No,
No.
not
At the end of the day, not really, right?
no.
No,
It would just be another disappointment. But again, Ohio kind of has the same problem PA does, right? After you get rid of like Columbus and Cleveland, what's left?
yeah, and Columbus. See, the thing is, Cleveland's still a blue collar town, and Cleveland, for the most part, in the city, is going to go Biden. But Columbus is a secondary insurance and very, very kind of like Wall Street light. They've always been a very corporate town. Columbus is a corporate town. So you have even the folks that are kind of a city dwelling folk there work in industries that are going to lean towards the GOP regularly.
I don't know if either of you noticed the right hand column here. Obama's in Pennsylvania right now. He's speaking live right now.
I can hear it because I have MSNBC on.
I don't know if you guys wanted to see if we can't get in there real quick. I'm gonna try. I'm probably gonna have to kill this and do it again. Just because of the software we're using. But to see Obama back on the campaign trail and to see him get all goofy and get all going, it's the stuff dreams are made of, right?
Perfect, but putting us on track so that a generation from now we can look back and say things got better starting now, and that's what voting's about. Voting's about using the power we have and pooling it together to get a government that's more concerned and more responsive and more focused on you and your lives and your children and your grandchildren and future generations. And the fact that we don't get 100% of what we want right away is not a good reason not to vote. It means we've got to vote and then get some change and then vote some more and then get some more change and then keep on voting until we get it right. And we will never come close to seeing what it would be like if everybody voted. When I hear people saying, well, I don't know, your voting doesn't make a difference. We don't know because usually no more than half the people who could be voting vote. We get 50, 55% of people voting, and then people say, oh, look, not enough change happened. Well, imagine what would happen if 60% voted. What about 70%? Imagine January 20th when we swear in a president and a vice president who have a plan to get us out of this mess, who believe in science and have a plan to protect this planet for our kids, and who care about working Americans and have a plan to help you start getting ahead, and who believe in racial equality and gender equality, and believe in not discriminating against people because of their sexual orientation, and are willing to bring us closer to an America where no matter what we look like and where we come from and who we love and what our last name is, if we go out there and we work, we can make it. And we're part of an American family. All of that is possible. All of that is within our reach if we vote.
just out of a personal thing, just kind of compare that with, hi, Erie, I really don't want to be here, but vote for me anyhow. How the fuck is this guy getting 40% or 45%? How is that even possible after comparing the two?
Because they can't understand what he's saying.
It kills me.
Yeah, it just amazes me. I mean, you know, he speaks so clear and concise to get the point across, and they rally around a moron.
It's got to be the skin color, dude. It's got to be. You tell me one other thing that Trump has over that. Name one other thing. Now, maybe it's the R behind his name, but I'll argue then that, yeah, that kind of still goes to the skin color, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't understand how you could look at that clip. And if you think that that's an anomaly, you have not been paying attention for the last 16 years. Right? You have not. How do you look at that and say, no, I'm still going to vote for the other guy? Like
I just don't understand it. It's beyond me. It really is. So.
Makes me, it's, you know what, Lou, I'm happy I don't have hair. Because honestly, pulling this hurts too much. You know? I have a pretty high threshold for pain, but not quite that high. Makes me crazy. And after I see that, I asked myself the question I asked, an hour ago is, do I even want to see another debate? No, I don't. I don't want to see another shit show. I want to see that. Makes me crazy. I probably should preface that by saying, yeah, I'm a Obama fanboy. Always was, always will be. But you know what? That not as dynamic because it's pretty hard to get more dynamic than Barack Obama. That's the same thing you're hearing from Biden, right? Obviously, it's not as colorful or flamboyant or whatever you want to call it, but that's personality, right? That's Barack Obama's a once in a lifetime personality. But you're still hearing the same message. You're still hearing the same thing. It's hard for me to believe, even after all of this, even after this last hour and everything else, it's very hard for me to believe that the Biden's going to lose this thing. What do you think?
Well, I hope you're right, and I don't know if you saw if Mitt Romney tweeted or somebody asked him today. Did you see that? He voted. Mitt Romney voted. He said, "Who'd you vote for?" He says, "I did not vote for Trump, but I won't tell you who I did vote for." So I'm guessing
either way, that's a positive for Biden.
Yeah, because he wrote somebody in. It doesn't matter. He didn't vote for Trump.
That's fine. It's the incumbent. If you didn't vote for the incumbent, you in essence voted for the competitor.
Right. So he probably, maybe he voted for himself or Jeb Bush. Who knows?
I voted for you.
Might have. It was a blank.
Yeah.
I was mad they never put my name in the paper 4 years ago when I had about 15 people write my name in against Mike Kelly.
I'll be honest with you. You got my vote a couple of times.
Yeah. I told a bunch of people to write me in because they all hated Mike Kelly. I think I got at least 15 votes.
Probably did. You know what? Out here, you might have won a supervisor position.
That's true.
You might have done it with 15 votes.
Without even trying.
Or just like, hey, vote for me, and everybody would have went, all right. There were a couple of supervisors you could have beat. I just hope you know that.
And yes, Patsy is not joking. If you're listening, you're thinking he's pulling your leg. No, he is not.
And if you live out here, you know who they were.
Oh my God.
Thank God we live in Mayberry. Holy shit. Lou, anything you want to say or do before we kill this thing off?
That's it.
Just don't pull a tubing, okay? That's all I'm asking. No Jeremy tubings here. Folks, you have no idea how close I was to bringing that up today, okay? But I said, you know what? No
Here, look,
we can't do it. We're going to
put pants on.
We'll even get thrown off of Twitch, which would be really hard to do. And yet we would be able to do it. So if you don't know what happened, just
Google it.
Okay. Just Google it. We're not yanking you. I'm sorry.
My God. People are idiots.
Oh my God. That was that. I know, you know, the worst part is I really do honestly believe that was a total and complete accident. I mean, the fact that he got caught, not what he was doing, but how people found out about it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I really do, honestly. I don't, because the only alternative was he did it on purpose, and I just can't see that happening. You know?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Terrible.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, that was funny. I cannot. Whenever I saw that the first time, I was like, "You got to be shitting me."
Yeah.
I mean, that is. Oh my. Never mind. I don't want to get started. Like I said, we'll even get thrown off of Twitter for this. But folks, just Google it. Okay, you won't believe it. You literally will not believe. It'll blow your mind. Anyhow, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. We will be back tomorrow to preview the last shit show, aka debate, for at least the next 4 years. Hopefully, it's the last debate ever. And whatever the hell else happens between now and then, because like it changes daily. You know what I mean? But that being said, thank you all very much for watching us. We will be back tomorrow, same bat time, same bat channel. Until tomorrow, goodbye, good luck, and God bless. We'll see you.